صلى الله على سيدنا محمد. You don't have to whisper. That's the number one thing people say is speak up.
ربي اشرح لي صدري يسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة لساني يفقهوا قولي.
Accent. Okay. So we are here with a special guest. This is, you want to introduce yourself?
You introduce me.
Well, this is my husband. This is Salih Abdullah. And I'll probably cut a lot of this, but basically we're here to just go through some reflections. It's the end of the month of Rabi'a Thani. We're going into the month of Jamad al-Ula. So we just decided to do these reflection questions together when I usually do this on my own. I think that he has a lot to offer in the way of insights, and particularly when it comes to the esoteric and soulmates. So hopefully he can tie some of that into these questions. We're not going to go through, you want to go through all of them from the beginning or just
I'm following your lead, whatever you decide.
We want to keep this short and sweet. So, Mr. Abdullah, can you tell me what you're appreciative of this month?
What am I appreciative of this month? Well, last month I was single, and this month I'm not. So I'm definitely appreciative of that. That's a big difference in my life. There's a big difference when you're sharing your time and your energy and your thoughts and your emotions with someone else as opposed to like not sharing it with anyone. So that makes a big difference.
Okay.
So I'm appreciative of that. That's the gigantic thing.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
But you do share a lot. Like I feel like you were sharing before me.
I did share, but it's a different type of share. So when you share with friends, it's one level of sharing. If when you share with family, it's another level. But when you share with a partner, especially a marital partner, it's a different type of sharing. So it's complete sharing. It's more complete than it will be as opposed with friends or family.
Well, for me, appreciation, honestly, would be very similar. I'm thankful for new sisters, and by that I mean my sisters-in-law. I think that that's something I've never experienced before. So it seems like a package deal to be able to say that I've got new sisters and new brothers as well, and just family, as a whole. I already am thankful to have been back in Georgia and teaching again, but that was that's been the case. Mm-hmm. But just last month to be able to have that potluck and just chill together and be with other people my age who are on a similar tip as far as being married and Muslim and Black American, that's something I'm very thankful for, where I didn't experience that before with my previous husband, who, I was familiar with his family, but they were East African, and I don't remember there being any young couples like I saw with your family there, and the level of, I don't know, they're just inspiring. It's inspiring to see. Didn't get that before. And there's a lot, honestly. There's a lot to be appreciative of, but that's a major one. Georgia Aquarium with the kids going really smoothly. You being there for that.
Yeah, I'm appreciative of that too.
It's a memory that stood out for me.
I haven't been there before. That was my first time there.
Yeah, that was super cool. So it came together really well. I wouldn't change anything. And let's see, the next question is, well, it's more so a prompt, so finish. My priorities this past month have been?
My priorities this past month have been to kind of get back on my feet. I would say that, again, the biggest change for me has been going from being single to being married. So I would say that for me personally, when I was single, I was just kind of floundering. Taking things as it may, dressing how I like, not really taking too much pride into things. And I'm a person who I've been responsible for a long time. So when I lack that responsibility, it's kind of like my motivation started to decline. So just being married and then having somebody else that I need to be responsible for and, you know, remind me of my responsibilities helped me to become refocused and to kind of get back on track. So
So getting on track.
getting on track, yeah.
Okay.
Getting back on track. Back on track, yeah.
Yeah. For me, my priorities would be definitely my students. I mean, I find that when that is good, the lesson plans specifically are solid, then a lot of other things flow, and I don't carry stress with me, and so then I can show up and, you know, have more energy to offer to this partnership and in relationships with other people as a whole. So that's a big priority for me, is like the students, getting the classroom set up and flowing in a system where it's like a well-oiled machine, which alhamdulillah, I feel that's the case now. Like they're good with the routines. They're not perfect, but like I see the difference. I feel it. They feel it. It's like it's a situation where they can remind me what's next. So they can remind the substitute if there's ever a need what's next, because they're used to the routine. So that is a huge priority that I feel has been fulfilled, alhamdulillah. So the next question or prompt would be, I am different this month. ...
I am different this month. In or
In that.
I am different this month in awareness. My perspective, I think, has broadened a lot more. Of course, when you interact with new people, your perspectives are changed through that interaction. But then when you have to interact with somebody on a more intimate level, like in a marriage, it's you really, really sharing a lot more. So even just to kind of explain my background, like prior to, like, because, you know, I didn't know you 2 months ago, for example.
I didn't know you either.
You didn't know me either. So I have to share my background. Who am I? What have I accomplished? What have I done? What's my story up until this point in my life, up until the point where I met you? So even to be able to explain that and to a new person is itself a kind of like eye-opening experience, because it's like, you know, there's a lot of things you have to kind of consider. What should you share? What shouldn't you share? Are you ready to hear everything that, you know, has led me to getting to this point right now? But I found that it's been, you know, it's all come out in a good time with you. It's been a kind of like an unfolding process that I didn't plan for, but it just happened in the way that I think that it should have happened. I didn't say too much too fast or too little too long, you know.
And it's interesting that you say that, because to a lot of standards you did say a lot, like very, very early, but that's the way it should be. I feel that is preferable to not sharing that much, because you need to know the person that you're gonna enter into this commitment with. Like, well, more so you need to have a certain transparency and to trust that. And that's a big thing for me, is like the honesty, the truthfulness, the transparency, which I saw all of that with Salih, mashallah. Let me just check this to make sure it's still recording. Oh wait, no, it's a low battery, that's all it is. But yeah, so to me, that's a good point, that you know, I agree he didn't overshare. I don't think I overshared or undershared either, but it's better if you have to choose to be on the side of oversharing when it comes to courtship. That's a definite fact. So for me, I say I'm different this month in that I feel more that I can be myself. Like, I feel more comfortable with my story as far as my culture, you know, as far as what I've been through, divorce, and all of that is just, I think that you have a certain quality about you that encourages people to be themselves and to feel freer about that. And then being African American too, that's something that's very refreshing to me, particularly because you can contrast that with East African culture as well, being previously married to East African as well. So it just makes me feel more solid in where I'm from and where I'm at, because I think that you can relate to an extent. So it's a really good feeling. I feel very...
Do you feel any culture clashes?
I feel it's day and night from last month. Let's say that last month was like up and down, like highest highs, like not even the highest highs. Like I was maybe going from like a 0 to 7 consistently, very up and down. And you said, do I feel like we clash culturally? How?
That's what I'm wondering. I was just seeing how you would answer that.
There's not a lot of ways for us to clash culturally, I don't think. The only thing I could say is that you're East Coast, and I'm kind of from the West Coast. And East Coast are extremely loud and blunt. That's the only difference that I could pinpoint. But it's very minor to me, because the bigger picture is that we're both descendants of Africans, ex-slaves, Ethiopians, all of that. And more so, I think you get the higher ed culture too, being in education, being a 2-time graduate student, all that good stuff, mashallah. So I think that's something else that I feel like you can talk nerdy to me, I can talk nerdy to you, and it's cool.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
But I'm not a nerd though. For the record.
You are the definition of a nerd.
I'm a cool nerd. Okay,
maybe you're a cool nerd, but you're definitely a nerd. And the last question is, are Jamad al-Ula focus or foci? Top three. What are the foci?
Can you start that? Because I think you're better at those types of things than me.
Absolutely. I already wrote it down. That's one that I actually already did. So I said, worship the promiser, not the promise. Perspective shift. Most pain comes from our own thoughts of what others think. Unless they speak directly to me, I will not give those the time of day from today forward. And keeping Allah first, regardless of what you feel you may be losing, is actually always winning. So just keeping Allah first.
Those are 3 good goals. Okay, so I think I want to focus on meaningful charity this month. I want to give in a way where it can lead to some compounded interest or compounded blessings. I like to see the fruits of charity. And that the only reason that came to my mind is because of something you said that made me think of something else. But anyway, so that one is first. The second one, I want to talk about people less. I want to have less gossip. I've witnessed some things in this past month that made me realize that the harms and the toxicity of gossip and talking about people and the damage that can be done when people, just kind of like spread things about other people. So I think I want to just be a lot less, I want to have people's names a lot less on my tongue. And then the third thing is, I want to have meaningful experiences. So today, for example, we went to Arabia Mountain, local mountain here in Georgia. And I think that's something that, sharing that experience with someone, just being able to go up and look at the view and be isolated from people and kind of just be in our own zones for a moment is itself an experience. So I think that meaningful experiences will be the things that are, when you look back on later on in life, there'll be things that you have stories that are geared around them. You have nostalgia that connects you to those events. So I think meaningful experiences are important, and because this month we have our longest breaks of the year, I think we should try to have some type of meaningful experience.
So you said no gossip.
No
Meaningful
gossip,
experience.
meaningful experience, and sadaqah that
Oh yeah.
is
Journey.
compounding, like beneficial, you know,
Mm-hmm.
truly impactful.
Gonna let that sink in. Is there anything else you'd like to say about?
Well, this is my first time doing something like this, and I think that this is a good reflection. I think that it's very therapeutic, and I think that it's helpful, and it's, I think that this can be a type of couples therapy without even having to go to a therapist.
I agree. Because I would do that for YouTube in general. That's why I say it's like a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Because just being able to like express where you're at, what's on your heart, and have that related to, or more so just express it and hear yourself express it. It's literally a video journal. That's what they call it, a blog. And, it's definitely therapeutic, no doubt. And to actually see it uploaded is the best feeling. Like when you actually see it loading and then it's up there, you're like, what? And so we got it out in the digital sphere,
digital realm,
digital world. But I'm really curious on your thoughts about like soulmates, because you were starting to tell me about it last night. And this can be something we flesh out for sure. But
right.
drop some gems for them.
I've never really written anything about soulmates, and I've never even thought about it deeply. But so, we're Muslims, so of course everything I have to go back to a perspective of Islam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrote everything that was meant to happen of all time before 50,000 years before we were all created. And it was written in a book called the Lawh Mahfuz, right? And the Quran is just a subset of the Lawh Mahfuz. So the Quran is a book that was written inside of that greater book. So that book is going to be it's the grandest book of all books, because everything was the mother of the books. Everything was written in there. So everybody's mates, whoever is intended for anybody, has been written in that book.
I remember being young and saying, I want to read that book. My mom told me, I want to read that.
It'll take a infinity to read it. But in that book, so we don't know. We're just living this life, and we don't really know who we're going to be matched with, and we don't know what our state will be even when we die. So we're just kind of like living this life, and with kind of like unsurety as to how it's going to turn out. But I think that the mate is something that, the relationship that you have with that book is that you can make dua and you can ask for specific things. And then the things that was written in that book can be changed in accordance to the dua that you asked for. So the vision needs to come about from yourself first and foremost. You kind of have to know what mate you want first. Before you can even attract that soulmate, you have to kind of know what character traits do you want from this mate. What do you want this mate to look like? What do you want to do with this mate? Like what are the goals and the ambitions that you have that you want to attain together with this mate? And then you should probably write those things down. You should have some type of like mental image. When you write it down, it becomes kind of like formalized. It helps with it becoming manifested. And then after you write it down, you should make dua for it. But then when Allah does fulfill that dua and matches you with that person, then you want to continue that process. You want to continue that process of growing and building with that person and envisioning a future together with that person, because just because you've been matched with the person that you feel like you're compatible with, that doesn't necessarily guarantee that it will continue to be good. You have to put the work in. And the work that you had to put in prior to even being matched with that person, in regards to du'as, in regards to writing it out, You have to do that same thing
Continue
with that
it.
person. You have to continue it,
But with them.
You know, and that's how the soulmate bond becomes even stronger. So it's a process.
That's deep.
Yeah.
You mean you were supposed to make dua together
Definitely.
all this time? So we got to get on that more.
Yeah, because we've got to formalize it first. What are we exactly making dua for? What can we agree upon that we want? And that's the hardest part, just formalizing the vision.
You want a list? I got a dua list.
You got a dua list? I don't mind you sharing your dua list.
I usually just save it for break fast. So inshallah we can show that tomorrow.
That's a good
we
one.
Go fast.
That's a good one.
But,
Here's a follow-up suggestion with that. I have a list that I can actually share with you. I wrote down all the 99 names of Allah, and then I made du'as that were specific for each attribute. So if you can actually combine that with someone now, of course it's more amplified.
Wow. You wrote a dua for each name?
Each name, yeah.
Interesting. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna close this out. Inshallah,
problem.
if you didn't have anything else,
Mm-mm.
no more gems to drop for
No
today. But trust me, he got gems to drop. So
Yeah.
stay tuned. He has some really good stuff going on that, inshallah, we can support. And he's gonna close us out in dua, inshallah.
I think you got to do that.
I've all told you.
You're the good one.
So you gotta go.
You're the leader with that one.
Really?
You're better at that.
Okay, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam ajma'in. Peace.